Welcome to This Explainer. Today we are going to unpack the absolute vital role of your brain's alarm system. We're going to look at why, despite how incredibly uncomfortable it can make you feel sometimes, you actually desperately need it. We're diving right into the architecture of fear itself. As a psychologist, I literally hear this all the time. People will say, I wish I could just turn off my anxiety entirely. They just want to flip a switch and never ever feel that heart-pounding, palm-sweating dread ever again. And honestly, it sounds like a superpower, doesn't it? But let's explore what actually happens when you do that. What happens when the human brain is entirely stripped of its ability to feel afraid? Section 1. A life without fear. Let me introduce you to patient SM. Now, she is this truly remarkable woman heavily studied in the field of neuroscience who literally cannot experience fear. And when I say cannot, I mean it is biologically impossible for her. To test this, researchers put SM through an unbelievable battery of real-life situations. They handed her venomous snakes, they handed her tarantulas, they showed her some of the scariest horror films ever made. We're talking The Shining, The Silence of the Lambs, the whole shebang. They even took her to one of the most notoriously terrifying haunted houses in the world, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. And the result? Instead of fear, she only felt curiosity, excitement even. In that haunted house, she actually led a group of strangers down these pitch-black hallways like she was a tour guide. She didn't flinch once. At one point, she even poked one of the actors in the face just to see what their mask felt like. No fear at all. Moving on to Section 2, Inside Patient SM's Brain. So what's actually going on here? Well, the reason behind her unique condition comes down to Urbach-Wiede disease. This is an incredibly rare genetic disorder. There are only about 400 reported cases worldwide. In patient SM's case, this disease caused her amygdala, which are these two tiny almond-shaped emotional computers buried deep inside our temporal lobes, to completely calcify and harden. Basically, by the time she reached her teenage years, they were completely destroyed. The very center of her brain's threat detection system was just totally wiped out. Section 3. The fast and slow pathways. To fully grasp what she's missing, we need to look at the work of neurobiologist Joseph Ledoux. He showed how a healthy brain processes threats through two very distinct neurological highways. Imagine you're walking on a trail, and you see something dangerous, like a snake. The fast path shoots that visual information straight from the thalamus directly to the amygdala. It completely bypasses your conscious thought. It triggers this instant, primal survival reflex, and you jump back before you even know why you jumped. The slow path, meanwhile, routes that same information up through your sensory cortex, which lets you rationally evaluate the danger. It lets you decide, okay, is that a real snake or is it just a stick? Patient SM simply doesn't have that fast path. Her brain just cannot trigger that instant protective reflex. Which brings us to Section 4, the paradox of fearlessness. Now, you might be thinking, wow, being entirely fearless sounds awesome. No anxiety, no inhibitions. But living without fear has some really severe hidden costs. Without her biological alarm system, SM has suffered extreme vulnerability. She literally cannot detect looming threats in her environment. For example, she has repeatedly walked straight into dangerous, dark alleys at night. She's been held at knife point, she's been held at gunpoint, she was nearly killed in an act of domestic violence. Yet her brain cannot signal her to flee, so she doesn't act with any sense of desperation. And even worse, because the amygdala also helps us form emotional memories, she fails to learn from these dangerous experiences. So sure, she doesn't develop post-traumatic stress, but she also doesn't develop the necessary caution to avoid those exact same dangers tomorrow. Honestly, it is truly a miracle that she has survived. Section 5. The hidden panic button. Observing all of this incredible vulnerability, researchers started wondering, is there any possible way to make SM feel fear? Is there some kind of emotional backdoor? Well, they brought her into the lab and exposed her to the 35% carbon dioxide challenge. Essentially, having her inhale this gas simulates the physical sensation of suffocating. Now, this is a really crucial distinction to make. All those previous tests, the snakes, the haunted houses, the muggers, those were external threats. But the CO2 challenge, that is an internal, physical threat to the body's homeostasis. It threatens its baseline internal balance and basic functioning. And as you'll see here, the results were astounding. Looking at the data for the amygdala lesion group, which includes SM, when she was given that CO2, SM actually experienced a severe panic attack. She felt intense, overwhelming fear for the very first time in decades. What this proves is that while the amygdala is absolutely essential for processing threats from the outside world, our brainstem actually has a hidden, primal suffocation alarm that bypasses the amygdala entirely. It's like an evolutionary failsafe designed just to keep us breathing, proving that the human body's drive to survive is incredibly redundant and deeply, deeply hardwired. All right, section 6, mastering your fear. So, what does this all mean for our own lives? Well, true courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of fear. As we've just seen with patient SM, having absolutely no fear is actually incredibly dangerous. It leaves you completely vulnerable to the world around you. True courage is feeling the fear, acknowledging those alarm bells ringing in your brain, and learning to operate alongside it. So, what exactly do we do when that fast pathway completely hijacks our brain? Well, we manage it. Here are some actionable steps you can use to build your own psychological toolkit. When your amygdala floods your body with stress hormones, you can actively counter it. You can practice deep breathing exercises to signal to your nervous system that you are, in fact, safe. You can utilize grounding techniques to re-engage your rational, slow pathway brain. You can engage in mental health therapy and, of course, consult healthcare providers so you're prepared for those moments when the alarm rings just a little too loudly. The absolute most crucial takeaway here is that we have to reframe our entire relationship with fear. It is not an enemy to be defeated. It's not a weakness to be eradicated. It is your ultimate survival tool. It's an ancient evolutionary gift that keeps you from walking off cliffs, touching hot stoves, and wandering into dangerous situations. It is, quite literally, your protector. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought today. Knowing that a life without fear is actually a life of constant peril. How will you use your fear to navigate the world safely? The next time your heart races and your palms get sweaty, don't wish for the alarm to break. Instead, embrace your biological alarm system. Learn to master it and let it guide you safely through life. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.